Hello everyone and welcome to the YouTube channel of Get Set Law by IMS. I'm your verbal ability mentor Sanjana Chauhan. CLAT 2025 is over, so now what? And before we start doing more videos and lectures on how to prepare effectively for CLAT 2026, I feel at this juncture, it is of significance that we take a look at how CLAT 2025 paper was, so that we're able to correctly derive important insights and lessons and then apply the same to prepare in a more coherent and strategical manner for CLAT 2026. And for today, I shall be discussing the English language section of CLAT 2025. Alright, so the flow of the session is going to be somewhat like this. Key insights, key inputs from English language CLAT 2025, which is like how the paper was, the number of questions, the genre of the passages, all of that. Followed by lessons learned from English language, right? A very significant part of the entire session is going to be the second point here. And lastly, we'll take a look at the focus areas or the areas where we should be putting more effort into as part of our learnings, right? So without further ado, let's start discussing it. If you've taken a look at the paper, and I think it's time for everybody to take a look at it already, right? There were about 4 passages followed by 6 questions each for every passage, right? So 24 questions for the English language section, right? Now, if you take a look at the genre of the passage, this is important. And truth be told, I've been observing this trend since CLAT 2024. The consortium has been introducing a lot of literature/fiction based passages, right? So if you remember, because you've taken the paper or if you're going to take a look at the paper, there was a passage. There was an extract from George Orwell, and then there was a passage on education by Swami Vivekanand and Krishnamurti, right? And we also had, other passages, and there was a short story passage on Astrologer's Day, right? So if you largely see, there were literature, education, and fiction-based passages alone, right? Now, the most important part of this is the type of questions that we had. Contrary to popular opinion and the way we regularly train students, and I think this is the way we should be preparing for any exam, which is very high on English language, which is main idea question, central idea theme. I did not find a lot of those there in CLAT 2025. In fact, there were more of inference-based questions and specific detailed questions, which are also, referred to as direct questions, which is from a part of the passage, they are forming a question, right? For which you then have to visit that part and then answer, which actually makes the question quite easy to understand, right? And then we had a lot of synonyms, antonyms, which is vocabulary based questions, about 3 to 4. If you remember, there was a word tumultuous asked, what is the meaning of the word vociferousness? I think that was from the Astrologer's Day passage, right? Author's intention, 1 question, and conclusion. That is the summation of it all. No other question was asked. Everything was inference/specific detail question. Now, if you ask me to discuss the level of difficulty of the section, on a generic level, the entire paper was quite easy, and this section also was quite easy. I did not find any fancy questions that will leave the student racking their brains, okay? But since, the consortium has this trend where, there were a couple of questions which had discrepancies in the answer key, I wouldn't want to go there. And for that very reason, I just termed that the level of difficulty of the section was easy to moderate. For me, it was easy, but because of the discrepancies in a question or two, I just take it from easy to moderate, okay? And if I have to do an analysis of the overall section, I think the passages were quite simple, right? So if you've been a regular reader, you worked hard for the exam, most of the passages were very readable. The comprehension also was not something, that would require you to think a lot. Quite easy, very concise, brief passages. The short story passage, fiction passage on Astrologer's Day was particularly interesting with a lot of, words, but nothing florid per se. So overall, it was easy to moderate. Now, the most important part is what are the lessons that we can learn from the section? Okay, now, I know a couple of students who keep telling me, ma'am, I'd done very great in mocks and sectionals, but for some reason, for me, the English language section was a task. Now, that's also because sometimes, in the guise of doing very complicated things, we just take leave of simplicity and simplistic habits. And this is what happens. So make sure that you diversify your reading, and whatever you're able to read, you just read it verbatim and then extract the easy meaning from it. You don't have to rely on assumptions. Whatever is given, just take it for what it is and then read, right? So do not complicate reading and comprehension. Believe me, CLAT 24 and 25 had quite easy passages to understand. If the passage is easy to understand, for the most part, the questions will also be very easy for English language. I'm not talking about the critical reasoning bit. I'm talking about English language, direct questions, main idea questions. And for vocab questions also, if you're able to decode the context in which the particular word is used, that will also do. Okay, then focused reading. We tend to be very distracted. Maybe that is because of the fear of sitting in a very tense environment, fear of sitting in an examination hall, something that you'll be able to tackle if you keep on taking mocks and tests regularly, right? So keep on reading in a very focused and attentive manner. Believe me, this is also a matter of practice. Keep practicing. Okay, which means solve about 3 to 4 passages on a daily basis, and also keep reading about 4 to 5 passages on a daily basis. It doesn't take beyond an hour or so, right? And it's more of a leisurely activity. You don't always have to read very economic / socio-political commentary based articles. It could be anything. All right, always, if you want, you can just read newspaper articles. And apart from this, diversify your reading, like I said. So keep on taking mocks, benchmarking tests, sectionals. The more you're able to read, which means every day you will keep coming across passages of different genres, you know, the better it will be for you to incorporate the lessons here. And up your vocabulary game, right? So the Get Set Law modules are also very important for you to enhance your vocabulary, right? So up your vocabulary game, work hard on it. The more you read, again, the more new words you'll encounter. Okay, so these are the lessons that you can learn. And then we have something very important. What are the areas that you should build on? All right, number 1 is eclectic reading. I think this is the 3rd time I'm kind of reiterating this point. Diversify, read as much as you can from different sources available. Just make sure that you exhaust your Get Set Law books as well. I found a couple of students, in fact the vast majority of the students out there, whichever institute you're preparing for, you know, a common question which is thrown to the teachers is, what else do I do to enhance it? What else do I do to, you know, kind of buttress our preparation? And you know, it's just surprising for me to find that students haven't even exhausted the, you know, study material which is at their disposal, which is why we are here to help you, right? Through the books and through our lectures, of course, right? So make sure you're able to exhaust your books also. Believe me, if you're able to do it, I think it's 1 out of 10 students who do it. You won't have further questions. And obviously, if you do it diligently and with a very clear mindset. Okay, then vocabulary, again, like I said, there was a word tumultuous. If you know what it means, and there was a word vociferous is what I can recall. If you know what it means, you can just, you know, tell the meaning in the comment section here. So vocabulary, again, do it from the books that you have, right? The more you solve it, the better you will get at it. And finally, and a key point for cracking just about any examination, this is not just limited to CLAT, for ALAT, for SLAT, other law entrance examination, is to have a lot of confidence and self-belief. I have seen a couple of students, you know, we term them as dark horses. They might not have necessarily performed well in mocks. That could be because of whatever circumstances. But all of a sudden, it's like out of a, you know, it's like a bolt from the blue. They're able to do so well in the actual exam, right? And somehow they're able to get a single-digit ranking. I think a large part of it is to do with the mindset that they have. The fact that they do not stress about. See, stress, healthy stress is fine, which is like a very normal thing, and everybody does feel stress, especially when you're preparing for an exam, which is almost going to form a part of your dream. But unnecessary stress is wrong, right? So whenever you set out to do something different, something which is foreign to you, just make sure that you have this belief that if you work hard and diligently enough for it, you'll be able to ace it. So confidence is very important. And how do you build confidence? You can't build it in a vacuum. All right, so it's not always mind over matter. Sometimes it could be, but at least for competitive exams, it's also about the feeling that you get. And how do you feel it is when you keep solving a lot of mocks. So taking mocks regularly, challenger mocks, sim ALATs, sim CLATs, right, sim tests is very important. And believe me, if you're able to ace these things, 60 to 70% of your journey will be taken care of. Rest is all your hard work and devotion to preparing for the exam. All right. So with this, we come to the end of the session. I hope it was very insightful. If you found it nice, do mention it in the comment section. If you want further insights on this from me, do let me know anyway. We as a team are mentioned on every social media platform. You can just quickly scan them, enroll with us, and let's just make the entire session more fun and interactive. Hope all of you enjoy the session. Have a good day.